This first piece I wrote while I was sitting underneath a coconut tree, so I call it Coconut Tree. Close your eyes and put aside your pride as you enter your center. The mentor you need is indeed in your center, so heed his intent and you're never defeated. But conceited, your center, repent and you will. The aim is restraining this brain and being still. So take what you will from the words I recite. They come from my center, the mentor dispense, and I say them despite if you like or resent them. I pen them with thinking, I write with no thought, so don't care what you think. I don't flinch and the third eye don't blink. It stays open. I'm hoping you're soaking this in, because the game don't begin till the token is in. And you can press the start button, but nothing will happen. Connect with the Buddhas and saints who be rapping. That happened to me in the past, man. I seen it, devoted my life to this truth, now I'm being it. I live it, I love it, I give it my all. If I ever look back, then I pivot and fall. So I never look back, and I'm always going forward and upward and onward and never going slower. The more you think, the less you are present. That's why it's a gift, and some might call it heaven. As sixes and sevens with tricks of the reverends and priests and the pastors who take you for fools and you treat them like masters, bastards. But your master is one, like the earth has the sun. Your master is humble, so we should be too, like the nature of water. Bruce Lee said it too, and he's cool. And you're awesome too. Not to inflate your ego, but dwindle it down. Give me a hug when this Hindu's in town. The symbols are found on foreheads of those who are kings with no crowns. They don't hang with no crowds. I rap when I'm happy and sing when I'm down. So nothing that happens is bringing me down. Keep your arms and your heart open to me, and close both your eyes when you're hoping to see. All of this wisdom was spoken to me as I wrote this rhyme under a coconut tree. Thank you. Philosophically speaking, duality is often described as the polarities within a person or a personality. And by this I mean the good, the evil, the selfless and the selfish, etc., and the battle that goes on between the two. In the external world, we see duality as the things that are observable, perceivable with our senses, things such as hot and cold, wet and dry, North Pole, South Pole. All things that exist for each other to exist. But there's another duality, and this duality births all dualities. This is the observer and the observed. And in this realm, we all create and live in a very unique universe of our own. For example, you sitting there are experiencing this very differently from the person next to you. It might be very similar, but in no way can you have the same experience as the person next to you, or they have the same as you. Observer and the observed. Quantum physics on this subject over the past decade has come up with some astonishing discoveries. And I speak in particular about the double slit experiment. And if you haven't looked into it, I urge you to. I won't go too much into detail on it, but basically they've studied and recorded the behavior of particles, photons in particular, particles which make up all matter and all things you see. And particles behave differently when they're being observed than they do when they're not being observed, which means particles are aware of awareness, of consciousness. And when they're not being observed, they're said to be in something called superposition, which means an obscure potentiality of all things. So think about that for a second. That means your fridge is not your fridge until you're looking at it. And it's not just human consciousness, it's all consciousness. So who knows how far that extends. There's another polarity, a very important one: life and death. I mean, we all enjoy life, but death, I don't know so much. And this next piece I'm going to share is on this subject of life and death, because I believe death is something that we need to understand as a reality. But before I share that piece, I want to share an acronym that I've come up with to relay the information in a simpler form. Tooth. Sounds a little funny, but bear with me. There's only one thing happening. When it comes to life and death, we know death is inevitable. It's natural. I mean, we know it, that it's going to happen. Yet it's on the back burner. I mean, we all know what's right, yet we set sail left as we inhale life and we exhale death. I said, we all know what's right, yet we set sail left as we inhale life and we exhale death. But now, for me, whether or not the weather is hot or raining, I'm not complaining. I've stopped debating. Death is my surgeon and it's operating on my state of mind. I wait in line to pay the fine for life. And a greater mind would kneel in humility to that fatal line that's certain. And when we cross it, let's applaud at closed curtains. And those hurting just chose flirting with this idea that this body's immortal. But this body's a portal. This body's a temple. This body's a sample of fire, water, earth, and air, and it goes back with no care to the elements. The elephant in the room is death, and everybody's afraid of discussing it, like if we're touching it, the repercussion is bringing it closer. But we're supposed to embrace it, because let's face it, let's not doubt it. Life can't exist without it. I said, we all know what's right, yet we set sail left as we inhale life and we exhale death. And the next pill left to swallow might even be tougher than the one that it follows. Because the next swallow is that your loved ones may not even be here tomorrow. And some of us have lost them. Some of us feel the pain, but what's really awesome is no one is yours to claim in the first place. So what can you lose if you love by letting go? Don't grip on to life. We're all just heading home. My wife, my child, mine, playing this mind game of mine draws a fine line between truth and a lie. And the truth that I'ma die is the truth I abide by. It reminds me to stay true to my nature. So live fully as you state your purpose to yourself on a regular basis. You'll eventually realize what the heck you were chasing, and you finally close your eyes to start seeing and find happiness in just being. And the funny thing is, as we make a taboo of death, we all know what's right, yet we set sail left. Thank you. Why do we get nervous when we cross paths with a stranger? Are they really judging us? Or is this just our own insecurity? Maybe we're just extensions of one another. If there's only one thing happening, Maybe there's just one mind perceiving through infinite lenses. So let's take off these masks. And I ask you, when you talk to me, don't just talk to me. Speak to me. Don't dare think you'll come across weak to me. Don't let your insecurities cloud your purity. Unveil yourself and be who you need to be. As time passes and we put these miles on, the shit that we're doing is the kind of shit that piles on. And the shit that we think of ourselves, who we become. And when we're sick of ourselves, man, we can't even run. It's that ridiculous self. And you think that you know it? Like, hey, that saint soldier, that Punjabi poet? Nah, man, who am I kidding? I'm trying to lose that self while I'm doing my bidding. And every time you attach a description to me, good or bad, if I accept it, it becomes an inscription on me. But I'm done with that. I had a conversation with God and I'm going to run with that. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to love with the sky beneath and the sea above. Let's flip it around with our limitless bounds. Are you in it to drown or find that infinite sound? In Sanskrit, that's called unhud. That means a chord that's unstruck. It's fearless. It never gave one. Run amok, trying to build your name. Some even killed for fame. But when this corpse gives out, it just builds a flame. And the ashes, your loved ones won't even touch them. So let go of the attachments and don't bother clutching them. Because when you pick a flower, it's your desire that kills it. But if you let it go, let it grow, then you fill this mind, body, and heart with the love that's unique to me. So when you talk to me, don't just talk. Please speak to me. Thank you. This last piece is called The Hitchhiker. 1,000 people drive by and no one pick him up. Everyone assuming that he's going to stick him up. So I pull over to the side and he run up to my ride, smiles and says thanks and throws his backpack inside. And he smells a little funny, but who am I to judge just because I got some money and stay fresh with my scrubs? He puts his hand out for a handshake, as dirty as it was. I still shook it, took a look at him and said, "What up, cuz?" I introduce myself and tell him that I'm on my way to Van. And I ask him where he's headed. He said, "I don't know, man." So I assume that he's a wanderer with no purpose in life, probably does drugs and probably left his wife. But I figured since we're going to be kicking it for the drive, we might as well learn a little bit about each other's lives. So I ask him, "What's your name? Tell me what you all about." He says his name is Isaac, but hasn't figured it out. Intrigued by his response and wanting to jump ahead, I ask him, "Tell me more." And this is what he says. "I used to be a dentist, but realized pulling teeth and making money was living a life sentence. I used to drive a Benz, but realized that flashing all that money attracted the wrong friends. And one day I read Zen, and it made me reconsider my decision and my vision in a sense. At this point, I thought he's full of it, and he's a lunatic. So I tried to drown him out, and I turned up my tunes a bit. He turned them back down, smiled, and said, "Wow, hope you appreciate this meeting, man. It's been a long while." I said, "What you talking about? I never seen you before." He said, "When you look in the mirror or look in your core, who do you see? Who do you be? When you walk on your path, are you true to your feet? I know rap is your art. Are you true to your peeps? Do you rap to your heart or just studio beats?" Pleased by the fact how he knew that I'm an artist when I'm not even that famous, I said, "Continue, regardless." He said, "Everything you're saying in your music is miraculous, but only if you practice what you preach and stay accurate. Pride is not an option for a servant of the people, so be careful how you're taking praise. Remember that you're equal." And you'll end up regretting it if you take your art competitive. So humble down and keep yourself awake and off the sedatives. Fill your words with love and wisdom, never dull with empty speech. I looked over in shock because all I saw was an empty seat. Thank you.